Hello, daughter. Today's video is about the different type of boys that you'll encounter as you're growing up. And I just want to warn you about a few of them. And I'm even going to let this video be public, unlike the hundreds of videos that I've made for you already that are private, because maybe other people might benefit from this advice. So when I think about the men around me and, the ones that are cheaters and the ones that would never cheat, I definitely notice some obvious differences. Sometimes men won't cheat because of moral, standing. But even men with morals still cheat sometimes. So why do they do that? And I've definitely had friends that have cheated, and family members, and I've heard stories about therapy sessions and what the root cause of the cheating was, and it always seems to be similar to this, that the cheaters are that way because they're insecure about something, and by cheating it makes them feel superior, or at least less inferior. There was a guy that cheated on his wife, and when they got to the therapy session, that's one thing they found out, is that because the girl makes more money than him, that he just felt like he had to do something else to be above her. Doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to be with anybody if you want someone else? Like, why not just leave the person you're with and be with that new person that you want enough to sneak around with? But I get it. When there's children involved, it makes it harder or less complicated to leave. Especially if your wife isn't really that great of a parent, then you know that ultimately if you leave her and the courts decide to let the children stay with her, it's just going to be bad for the children. So you stay with her because you want to protect your kids from her. It's a crazy world. Be very, very careful about who you have kids with, because you could be stuck having to deal with the wrong person for the rest of your life. Seeing them at parties and just events where you just would never see them if you didn't have a child together. So be very careful. That's why one of my videos is all about not having sex until you're ready to commit to someone and have a child. Because sure, there are a lot of people having sex and they don't have any children, but there are accidents that happen every day where two people that don't even know each other had a one-night stand and they created a baby, but because of their own morals, they refuse to get an abortion, so they bring an unwanted child into the world, and eventually that child realizes that they weren't wanted, that they were never planned, that they were just an accident. So their entire life is based on an accident. It's got to really wear on a person's value, when they hear that, when they find out that the only reason their parents got together was because they didn't use a condom. There's a lot of those kids in the world today, and I bet you half of the mass shooters were unplanned pregnancies, and they grew up around parents that never wanted them, that neglected them, because they became sociopaths that have zero empathy for the world around them. So they must have grown up with zero empathy shown towards them by crappy parents that resent them for ruining their lives. So you definitely want to find out the backstory on people before you commit to them, because basically maybe 5% of the men around you are going to be worth your time. The rest are just going to have issues that they won't fix unless they properly address them with therapy or just something outside of themselves. They need to be self-aware of their problems. That's the key. If they're not aware of their problems, or if they think they don't have any problems but they do, those are the most dangerous people to be around. The ones that are sociopaths or just so ignorant they're not self-aware. Because everyone should be able to know themselves. I mean, they're in their own heads. So, all that being said, there are different types of men, and here are some that you should avoid. You know, not every guy's going to know how to talk to a girl, especially an attractive girl. You know, they're going to get nervous, but that nervousness is a good sign. That means they don't have a lot of practice. That means they don't have a lot of ex-girlfriends. That means they haven't had a ton of sex, because there's a lot of guys that you're going to be surrounded by that will have slept with hundreds of girls by the time they meet you. And it's gross. It's totally gross, because especially if there's no protection involved, when you sleep with someone, you're sleeping with every single other person they've ever had sex with unprotected. And if it's hundreds of people and you're a virgin, you do not want to give away that to someone that's been around more than a stripper. So you want to be careful about those guys as well. So if they're really good at picking you up, just know they've probably picked up other girls the same day, and they're going to pick up other girls tomorrow. And yeah, they may be this awesome, great looking guy with a real nice car, but every girl wants them, and many men are as faithful as their options. And those guys, I guarantee you, will cheat on you every chance they get. Because even though they have all those things on the outside, they've never developed any value on the inside, and that's why they're insecure. And that's why they just have to sleep with every single girl that comes across their path, because they're running. They're running from something. Now, another type of guy you definitely want to avoid, because they're probably the most pathetic men that you'll come across, is guys that insult people around them to build themselves up. So what they'll do is they don't really know how to get to know you. They don't know how to be a friend with a girl. They only see women as objects. So they have to figure out a way to manipulate her into being with them. So what they'll do is they'll insult every guy that's around the girl. Oh, you shouldn't hang out with him. He's this and that and this and that. But they'll just never have anything positive to say about anyone around them, because they find everyone to be a threat. And those men, in my mind, are the most pathetic. They're like women. And you want to avoid them at all costs, okay? Unless they're gay. And obviously they're not going to complicate your life. They're just going to be a great friend. Because every gay guy that I've ever known and become friends with was cool, you know? I mean, I rarely had problems with them, and I didn't have to compete with them for the girls around me. So why would anyone have a problem unless they're homophobic? But you know how I feel about homophobia and latent homosexuality. So, anyway. There are other men that try to impress ladies with their things, or with like talents. For instance, athletic guys. You know, when I was in high school, I was friends with a couple of the jocks, because they were, you know, more of the academic guys. They weren't just so devoted to the sport and just obsessed with the sport that it was their top priority. Because I'm telling you, you don't want to necessarily have a guy that's going to, you know, stalk you and make you his everything. But you definitely want to be more important to your man than a sport. Okay? Because you want the man to choose you and not a sport. So many women have these guys that just brush them to the side when there's like a football game on or something like that. And, you know, like I love watching football. And your mom knows that. But if I'm watching a football game and something important comes up and your mom needs me, like, I have no problem stepping away from that game. Especially now. You can pause live TV. So why would anybody have an issue or be like or be obsessed with sports, unless again they're just lacking in some area of their life? Now always keep in mind, you know, these people may not be for you, but there is someone in the world for everybody. So I'm not trying to be critical of these people. I just know with your mom and I, and with the way we're focused on your academics, because you're only 5 right now, that we just know that you're going to be not better, than the people around you, but you will be far more advanced. I mean, you're 5 and you can already write your name. You're starting to learn to read. When I was 5, when I was in kindergarten, I didn't know how to read. We didn't learn cursive or handwriting until later in elementary school. So it's amazing how much faster these schools are in teaching you advanced subjects at such a young age. Hang on one second. Okay, and we're back. So this is where there might be some comments now posted by people trying to tell me what to do by telling me that I can't tell my child what to do, which is ironic because, like, if you can't tell someone what to do, then why are you in my comments section right now trying to tell me what to do? Pretty funny, huh? So many double standards in the world. And that's something you want to watch out for as well, honey. So, another very important thing about men is you can never judge the men by how they treat you. What you want to do is watch how they treat the less fortunate. How do they treat old women? Do they hold the doors for old ladies, or do they just ignore them because they don't want to sleep with the old lady, so why would they pay any attention to her? But you can find out men's motives so easily just by watching them react with strangers. For instance, there are men that wouldn't even talk to an obese girl. No way, she's just beneath me because she's fat and I'm, sporty and I work out all the time. And no, you never know the reasons why someone might have like a thyroid dysfunction or just an inability to exercise because of a spine problem. So of course they gain weight. Or they were raised by parents that just fed them the wrong foods from the start, like peanut butter and jelly and just other crap foods or fast food. The other day I saw a guy get a Happy Meal at a restaurant and he ordered a Dr. Pepper, a soda with the Happy Meal. He's feeding his child soda. We've never given you any. We let you take a sip once because we knew you wouldn't like the bubbles and it would prolong you developing a habit of drinking soft drinks. Because in foreign countries, they don't drink Coke at every event. They don't drink Coke on a daily. They just have it at, special parties, just like where, people would drink. But in America, you see a ton of obesity because people drink those sodas every day. And Coca-Cola, for instance, has several different kinds of acids in it. So you want to watch what the man around you eats and drinks too. Because young people have high metabolism, so they can be skinny and still be eating the worst possible foods. So you want to avoid guys that are going to McDonald's. Okay? McDonald's fries, for instance, have silicone in the fries. Silicone is a plastic. Most likely they put a tiny bit just to keep the fries from, sticking together. I'm sure there's a reason. And the FDA, which is an organization that governs what restaurants put in their food, lets them get away with it because it must be such a small amount. But again, a small amount if you're eating McDonald's fries every day turns out to be a lot. And also McDonald's puts sugar and aluminum in their salt. They can't just use regular one ingredient salt. It's I'm sure there's a reason for the inclusion of aluminum, but you shouldn't be eating this stuff. And you would hope that the man that you date would be smart enough to be aware of their surroundings. So you don't want someone that's obtuse, and that just means they're just clueless. They don't want to be smart. They just want to walk around. We call them mouth breathers. Or they just walk around breathing out their mouth. They're just catatonic. And again, those people are great for other people. But I want you to know how to find the best possible person. There's a reason why I record all these videos for you. And so that you will have advice that we were never given by our parents. Our parents just sat us in front of a TV and worked 2 jobs and gave us a key to the house that we wore around our necks. We were called latchkey kids. A lot of our parents were single. The dads didn't stick around. And possibly it was the haircuts, because 80s hairstyles on women were some of the most unattractive hairstyles in history. So anyway, we've talked about several kinds of men, but now I think the most important man for you to avoid is the greedy man. These guys only care about money, which is detrimental, because you don't want a guy that has any other God in his life other than actual God. So if their God is money, they're going to put money ahead of you. If they have a super nice car, they're going to value that car more than you. I've seen it every time. And it's just the way it is. But, some people will say, oh, that's just harmless. Yeah, of course he likes his car more than me. The car's going to be around forever, but I may dump him. But still, if you settle, if you lower your standards and the guys see it, they'll see that you don't value yourself. So why should they value you? That's why you have to protect your own value system, because you need to make sure that you're projecting the confidence that you are worth more than a car. Okay? Now, as always, I hope that you wait until you get to college to date, because high school boys are just going to be a complete and utter waste of your time. And if you have sex with them, you're risking getting pregnant, you're risking getting STDs, because by the time you're a teenager, there will probably be some really nasty ones, because right now we have this thing called blue waffles, which is just the most disgusting thing. Don't Google it. And people are just dirty. Dirty, dirty, dirty. There's a friend of your mom's whose daughter is 12 or 13, and she went to school in the United States till her mom finally decided to take her back to school in Mexico, because this girl was getting bullied for being a virgin at 12 or 13 years old. It's just absurd. It's gross. And every day there are teen mothers that are being pulled out of school and having their lives destroyed because they thought that having sex was more important than getting good grades and getting into a good college and earning a career that is worth having. Instead, they're working part-time jobs at Walmart, and their parents are taking care of their babies, and it's just a big, huge mess that could have been avoided had they just focused on school and not given a crap about having sex and being popular, because you're never going to see any of those people that you're in high school with again once you graduate. Although, if you're smart, you might end up being the boss of a few of them. But that's about it. You're going to go far, and many of them are going to go nowhere, because they had parents that didn't care enough to guide them away from what doesn't matter and focused on what does matter. So what kind of guy should you look for? Well, guys always have an angle. We talked about the guys that insult everyone around them to build themselves up. Pathetic. We talked about the guys that use physical attributes to try to pick up on women and how they're just going to sleep with every single girl around them. We talked about the guys that focus on money and their cars and their possessions, because one thing that we guys call really nice cars, we call them chick magnets, because they attract girls, but they attract the wrong girls. And I tested your mom on this one, and she passed. So I know your mom loves me for me and not for money. And now I'm making a lot of money, and she's reaping the rewards. But the first year I dated your mom, I was working at a rock mine. I wasn't making much money. I was working a lot of hours. For one birthday, she bought me a TV, a guitar, an airsoft rifle, some Star Wars stuff, and a few other things. It was just, I was blown away. And I had never had a girl do that, but Mexican women, they just know how to treat their men. And I've just been paying her back for it ever since. You know, I pay for the house she lives in. I pay for her insurance on her car. I pay for all the utilities, and I give her cash every month. So all that money she spent on my first birthday with her, she's gotten that back tenfold. But I wasn't about to try to impress her with money, even though I knew she was a rich girl, because I need to know that the woman I'm with is with me, so that if the money fades, or if there's, you get laid off from your job, your business goes under, that you know that the person that you're with is with you and not with that job that you no longer have. Because I've seen it before where a guy gets fired from his job and his girlfriend immediately leaves him because she didn't really want him. He just made a lot of money, and all she was good at was ordering from a menu, and he made sure to support that lifestyle. Because trust me, only about 5% of the women around you are dateable too. So you're not going to have as much competition as you might think. Yeah, some girls might physically compete with you, but mentally, you're going to be a kick-ass chick. I always wanted a son, and I only have a daughter. So I'm teaching you stuff that most men don't teach their daughters. But I have a lot of knowledge I need to pass on. So one way that I definitely won over your mom was with comedy. I was just always trying to make her smile. I was always trying to make her laugh. But that's something that I do naturally with a lot of people. I mean, I'm in sales, and I'm not always trying to crack up my customers, but I'm always smiling. And a smile is contagious. And when you're smiling while you're talking to someone, they smile back. And that is my biggest sales tip for anyone around me, is smile when you're talking, because everyone loves to smile. And when I see my customers, we just have fun talking, and then I end up getting sales. And I know this because they will often wait for me while my competitors have shown up earlier that week, because I see their names in the login system. I see their names on the the sheets when people log in, but I don't see them getting the sales like what I'm getting from these customers. So a smile goes a long way. A man told me a long time ago, an older man that was a roommate of ours, that it's not how you look, but it's how you talk. And this was his advice about women, because I was kind of depressed that a girl that I liked she didn't like me back. It's not how you look, it's how you talk. And I've noticed that a lot. You'll see a very attractive woman with a guy that just doesn't look attractive. He's clearly like out of her league, as the expression goes. But she likes him because he makes her laugh, or because he makes really good money. But I'm telling you, if you can make a girl laugh every time you see her, if you can make her laugh deep to where she snorts, because your mom always does that when I joke around with her, and it's been 8 years, so she still loves my jokes. But anyway, that goes a long way. That woman is going to think about that guy more than she's going to think about the good-looking dude that has 5 or 6 different girlfriends. I mean, sure, she might want to just mess around with that guy, but any intelligent girl is not going to date a really good-looking, pretty boy. A guy that looks in the mirror more than most women. Trust me, there are guys out there like that, and they're not all gay. There's a lot of straight guys that are like that too. They're just like women. So anyway, I hope that is some good advice for you, and I hope you watch these videos over and over again. And I'm glad that we have something like this for me to be able to leave you messages that you can replay over and over again after I'm gone. Anyway, I love you, Valentina. Every day, you make me so proud. Talk to you in the next video.